Gen Z doesn't really have that kind of a stress because they have understood that making money is possible. There are tons of ways and there are tons of opportunities today, and content creation being one of them.
When you do a stunt, because they are then questioning that kitna niche giroge.
They're questioning the
Sure,
reality after a point.
sure, you got my attention,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
now I don't trust you. So
yeah.
the next time the same brand does an activity, I'm like, I don't think so, bro. The fun part is we end up struggling even more, hustling even more in that kind of loop.
But is that such a bad thing if Gen Z is trying to break through the
No,
hustle?
no, no, absolutely not. See, every generation comes with a new perspective, a new way to look at the same old things. And that's the beauty of it. I think a major difference between these generations, especially, let's say, millennials versus Gen Zs. Uh, Millennials, I think, at least my personal experience, is that our priority was to find a career and make money, make living out of it.
The ones who are artists first struggle more.
Welcome back to our podcast where the campaigns collide with chaos, where briefs turn into breakthroughs, and creators are more than just the numbers. I'm Himanshu Arora, your host and founder and CEO at Creators Network and Book Your Creator. Today's episode's theme is chaos, campaigns, and creator capitalism, where we decode digital strategy in 2025. And we've got Naomi Mukerji, who is the brand director at Creators Network and also the partnerships lead at Book Your Creator. She brings her storytelling and influencer marketing expertise as well as social media marketing expertise on the table. And for the strategy, we've got Rahul Mandal. Rahul isn't your typical strategist. With 11 plus years in advertising and brand communications, he has shaped strategy, copywriting, and integrated campaigns at top agencies, including Densu, Network Advertising, and Chimpanzee. And having recently launched BlueFerry Consulting, Rahul now wears the hat of a strategist, creative, mentor, and yes, a singer, songwriter, content creator all at once. So I think buckle up. Today's conversation promises strategy hacks, behind the scene chaos, campaign stories, and even maybe a lyrical note or two. So let's dive in. Rahul, welcome to the show. Before we actually get into this serious conversation, I just want to understand that give us a quick snapshot that how did an 11-year ad world pro is now sketching a new path into Blue Ferry Consulting and still finding time to write songs, mentor young creatives, and also create content.
One word, struggling. There's no better way to put it because I think that's one of the challenges and do all of it consistently. So the work part remains constant because somehow I grew up as a kind of humble brag, but naturally creative guy. I used to do a lot of drawings myself. Never really went to classes. I used to be very observant. Had always a thing for public speaking, right? So as I grew, I mean, grew up as becoming an engineer first, which is kind of the staple in our country, right? But eventually you kind of learn that that's not my thing. So while I did score good grades and everything, I moved towards MBA marketing, then found out about advertising and then fell in love with it, right? So that's how I got into the advertising industry first. Started as a sales guy, sales and servicing guy. Later moved into the creative and strategy bits of it. And as our industry is right, there's always huge amount of burnouts if you happen to be someone who's always paying attention to detail, trying to manage all of these things, right? So roughly about after 9.5 10 years, that burnout did kick in, and as much as I loved continued doing that work, I would just wanted a break to myself. So I took the break. Initially, I had planned for it to be a short break, and then I thought कि यार 3 महीने में ऐसे ही वापस चले जाएंगे काम पे. But during that time, what happened is a couple of freelance projects started coming in, and as I started kind of doing them a little more hands-on, I said, hey, why don't I try this a little more? So
True.
that kind of a 2 month break extended to 1.5 years, where I got to partner and collaborate with 3 to 4 different agencies, work closely with the founders, where I would work with them both on pitches and projects. And yeah, at one point, then even that plateaus. So then you're like, okay, maybe this is a time to see what the next step is. And as much as I had told myself about a year back that what's the point of leaving the agency if you go on to start another one, but here I am, ironically. So yeah, the intent with BlueFerry is to do creative work, but really try and not function like the theme of today's discussion, right? Not be the chaotic agency, not try and dabble with things that maybe not the may not be the best thing for the brand, may not be the best to your own skill set or expertise, and
True.
basically figure out a way. So yeah, it's a learning journey for me, and let's see where it goes.
No, I think all the best for this venture, and uh, it is actually the case where I can totally resonate with you when you say that you think of leaving the agency for the chaos and then ultimately landing up. I mean, look at where we are. Also, it's pretty much the same thing. So I
Yep,
totally understand, but I think it's a I would say more than the struggle, there is another word that is probably very much more popular or much more relatable to our generation, which is the hustle.
hustle. True.
So we all hustle, and I think the Gen Z is trying to break that norm of we don't want to hustle. They don't like this word, I think.
The fun part is we end up struggling even more, hustling even more in that kind of loop.
But is that such a bad thing if Gen Z is trying to break through the hustle?
No, 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 absolutely not. See, every generation comes with a new perspective, a new way to look at the same old things. And that's the beauty of it. I think a major difference between these generations, especially let's say millennials versus Gen Zs. Uh, Millennials, I think, at least my personal experience is that our priority was to find a career and make money, make living out of it. Whereas Gen Z doesn't really have that kind of a stress because they have understood that making money is possible. There are tons of ways and there are tons of opportunities today, and content creation being one of them, which is the most popular, one of the most popular revenue generating stream for the Gen Zs. So they have figured out that पैसा तो बना लेंगे. तो अभी करना, let's do that what we really enjoy, right? I mean, we all have been thriving to do that. Unfortunately, in our back in the day, in our generation, it was never the conversation that better find your passion, you know. So, but I think when they have this opportunity and they are trying to make use of it, there is nothing wrong with that, I think.
I do have a perspective to add there, Naomi, to your question, right? Whether it's wrong or right is again part of a subjective zone. And I'll give you a quick example of a project we were working on when we were at Network, right? We were trying to position a more legacy brand and create communication for a Gen Z audience, where we had gotten into this kind of, I would say, uh, kind of a survey, not a detailed survey, a dipstick of sorts. And the learning was that this whole attitude, right, that I can figure out the money, but I'm not going to take crap from seniors, or I'm not
Yes.
going to kind of limit myself to one. That also came from the cultural part of there being many more opportunities right now,
Right.
which in our times we didn't really have, right? So our parents' generation, they were struggling for survival, and hence they had to just go with whatever was available. Hence, stability was prioritized. In our generation, we slowly started breaking through it, where we started that, okay, hey, I want to follow my passion because I have some stability to me, but I want to really go deep. But we had some of those values taken forward. Now, with the next generation, they are breaking a lot of these bondages, saying that there are no rules that, hey, if a boss has said something, I have to do this. But there is this part about accountability versus, really kind of escaping it. So that is where the game is, because the downside of this whole conversation of Gen Z versus say work life balance is right, is where do you draw the line? And the line is accountability. Are you not doing it because you don't want to be held accountable and just blame it on this whole work life balance narrative, or are you accountable but are you actually buzzing off a toxic company and a boss? So situational.
Yeah, good
No,
perspective.
and I think this work-life balance conversations is also very interesting because, yeah, I have personally found it. That again, it's just my perspective. I may be completely wrong. Uh, if you love what you're doing, then you don't mind working on a Saturday. You don't mind working on a Sunday. You don't mind even thinking of work at, let's say, 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Uh, as long as you love what you do, right? That's what passion is all about. And especially when it comes to creative fields, you can't shut down an artist that
True.
now you stop thinking creative. ऐसा नहीं होता यार. It's your life, it's your lifestyle. So your mind is always working. So many times we come up with ideas in some random party or some random night of sitting alone. तब ideas आते हैं, right? So what do you say? Oh no, work life balance.
I think work life balance really has more to do with the environment you're working in, because there's no way, obviously, a creative brain is getting shut. I mean, popularly, everyone has been talking about कि यार shower में ideas आते हैं. Most popular meme की toilet commode पे बैठ के ideas
Yes,
आते
Yeah,
हैं and
hot.
all
yes,
of those
yes,
things,
Toilet
right?
hot.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing about work-life balance, I think the change that the new generation is bringing in, and in a good way, is saying no to that extra effort which actually is not needed. So all of these, you might have seen a lot of posts on LinkedIn, right, where someone's like, "Hey, my boss called me after 6 p.m., but I did not pick the call, and next day I was fired."
Yeah.
And you will see a lot of things going on in the comments. But where's the nuance to it? First is, was the task kind of crucial? Was it time bound? Were you productive during the day? Did you have a support system, or were unrealistic, things put on your head? So what's happening in this process of change is uh, the dependable employees, which a lot of them being us millennials, right? We become the collateral damage in a way, which is a part of the journey. We have to just accept it. So we'll see where it goes. But I think work-life balance really has to do with people, processes, rather than us thinking, because our brains are not shutting down as creative people. But is my boss going to be calling me at 10 in the night saying कि मुझे सुबह 10 बजे ideas चाहिए?
Yeah.
And whether it is right, अगर कल सुबह मीटिंग है, then sorry boss, there are things which you can't change, you
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
But there are again people in the market out there, right, who just want you to work that way because hey, that's how we do things. So those are the practices we need to kind of get rid of.
Yeah, there are too many variables to simply judge a conversation by a screenshot, whether it's a norm or an exception, or it's accountability versus letting go of things. So there are many variables, but I think that uh, it brings us very organically brings us to the first part of our conversation, where we actually want to talk about this. Creativity being flattened in a way, because so on one side we're talking about work life balance, or uh, it's not about कि idea 10 बजे आ नहीं सकता, but is it my job to think of ideas between 10 to 12 so that I can present it in the morning? Or there's another very interesting factor that is kind of also becoming a hindrance in letting people think creatively. So we are optimizing for the same reels, same posts, same 5 second hooks. Like one hook, एक कहीं से trend हो गया, and everybody is doing the same thing. And in what we are trying to do, we are trying to please the algorithm in this case, because the algorithm is supporting. So do you think, I'm throwing it out, even Naomi, you can butt in, that is this creativity that we talk about, is it being challenged or being flattened by the algorithm today?
I would like to hear Naomi's thoughts first.
I thought, I'd bench through y'all, but I so I do a lot of trends for my page. Okay, but then I think that sometimes I need to do those trends to get the following and get that, that number, so I can reach a better audience and then do what I want to do. Like, I have a set of ideas or topics and everything, but I don't have the audience for them to listen, like who'll sit down and listen to me or want to hear my thoughts out. But I was trying to build it through trends that I think match my personality or the page, and then get those followings or get that audience out there, and then talk about what I want to talk about, or like a story or something like that. So that's why I think that sometimes I need to tap into trends to get that audience over there. It's like, how a struggling actor would pick up any ad or any movie or anything like that to get, and get that awareness and get that fame, and then later be like, oh, this is not the film I want to do. I want to do this because this is the type of character I want to build out there. So for me, I would do something like that with algorithms and trends, pick it all up so I can build my audience and then do what I really want to do. That would
No,
be.
makes sense. Because the way I look at it, right, since we are discussing algorithms, the very simple logic is that the algorithm is a prediction machine.
Yep.
It sees what you just liked, probably for whatever reason. And again, too many variables. You have
Exactly.
an idea, you have the person, you have a background, you have production. You don't know for what reason you really liked. And if you really go to think about it, we are quite mindless based on how long does a double tap take, right? And hence, these concepts of recently a friend had posted also. You're either weighing engagement based on everything you've got, saying, okay, 5 likes, 10 comments, and 5 shares, so 20 engagement. Or are you going to actually um, give a different weightage to each thing, right? That, okay, 2 points to only likes, 5 points to comments, 10 points to shares. Then you're doing that weighted average kind of a thing. So everything needs to be also measured differently. So coming back to algorithms are basically predicting what you should be shown next and what you'd probably like based on what you've engaged with before, and hence creators are busy predicting their next step or what they will create next. And in this whole process, the originality, the artistic expression that is individual to you, kinds of fades out. I mean, given what Naomi also was saying right now, right, is that it's a good strategy because that's how even I look at creation. That you need to do some of the things which others are doing, so that you become a part of that system, the algorithm, so that you get visibility. But once you have an audience of your own, you can then you do your own things.
Yeah.
But what ends up also happening in some cases shouldn't happen in your case, Naomi. But when you start doing your own things, then the audience is like, hey, not interested. So when that starts getting a little lesser engagement, you go back, you panic, and you start doing everything that the so-called
Yeah,
algorithm
I'm
was
scared
asking for.
about that
Yeah.
too. I'm scared that would happen.
Yeah, because I was following, I mean, I still follow a couple of, so as I said, I'm into music. So there are a couple of guitarists, musicians on YouTube, right, who had been creating content way before Reels and TikTok happened. So they were pretty big from the period of 2014 to 2018. Then they just disappeared. And recently, a couple of months back, they came back. And the whole video is simply talking about this whole fatigue. That the algorithm really just sucks life out of you because you're you stop trying to express your best self, and really kind of become slave to the algorithm, because the moment you're not getting the traction, you kind of panic and move on. So it's really about the balance and mindset between managing artistic expression, your originality, and the calculative, being content machine of sorts.
And I think, okay, so very interesting, the example that you gave. What I'm thinking is that in my head, if I'm just thinking that the creators who are still big and who are still relevant, how often do they actually fall into the trap of trends or let's say the algorithm? I don't think a lot of them are. Like they still continue doing what they have been doing, what has given them the success. All this, for example, Instagram now prioritizes saves over let's say likes or shares.
Yeah.
Do you really think that it has been it bothers the big creators also, the ones, like I said, the ones who are still relevant? उनको तो पता है कि हमारी ऑडियंस को क्या चाहिए और हम क्या करते हैं, और ब्रांड्स फिर भी आ रहे हैं, ऑडियंस फिर भी आ रही है, बिकॉज दे आर नॉट फॉलोइंग द एल्गोरिथम ट्रैक. सो इन अ वे, डू यू थिंक दिस इज more like a rat race where the middle class gets stuck? If you draw parallels between.
See, I think everyone struggles. Uh, the ones who are artists first struggle more, if I have to put it that way. Um, the ones who are treating content creation as a business first, uh, you will see them perform some kind of stunt to get the audience attention back.
Of course.
you know so everyone sees those slumps and just deals with it in different ways.
Mhm.
So the ones that I refer to, for example, they are artists first. They create music, they
Right.
compose, they create fun content again then to build an audience. And hence, at the point where they realize that, hey, we are doing more content than we should be doing the artistic stuff, it really affects them, and then it brings them to a halt. But you'll see, I will not name creators here, but a very popular creator, and I've seen a couple on YouTube, right? The moment you'll see that they've reached a content fatigue of sorts, you'll see a slump in their content creation. But again, in a week or two, you will see one random YouTube with a very clickbaity kind of a caption saying, "I quit" or "I gave up," and you'll be like, "Oh, what's happening? This creator's going this and that," and you go and see they'll give you some kind of dramatic story, what they went through, how mental health was affected. But I found the energy and I will continue in a different direction. So everyone's always doing something to keep it alive. And hence, the point is also that are you a content creator first or an artist first? And I think that's one thing we can discuss.
By the way, if we want, we can take the creator's name. That's not a problem, as long as what we say is backed by the facts. So,
No, that's exactly why, because I do have a name, but I don't have the details exactly what they're, so I
yeah,
wouldn't risk it.
absolutely.
But I think everyone has seen some format of this kind of a video, right? Where your mouth is taped in the, thumbnail. You're like, hey, I give up, kind of a caption is there. So you think they're giving up, but no, they just return. It's a nice trick.
Or
Many,
it's not just about the give up. I think it's like very rightly pointed out that it's clickbaity. It's the strategy and all those things. And a very recent example we saw when Ashish Chinchalani posted that picture with Ellie of Ram and said, "Finally, the world thought that they're getting hitched, and it was for a music video."
yeah,
God.
yeah,
And we have seen other also, right? When Poonam Pandey did that whole dying
yeah.
thing. So
What was
yeah,
that? That was so weird.
no, it was weird, but again, it's a strategy by by one agency, and of course, even she must have approved it, right? So everybody did it. They and let's look at it from a marketeer's lens. You may like it, you may not like it, but it got you the eyeballs, right? You can have all the takes in the world, whether it's a good thing or not, but
I think that's a good discussion to have, maybe somewhere down in our discussion, is where um, eyeballs versus business movement. Because to be honest, if us as marketeers, we start giving in to the whole concept of, hey, it got you eyeballs, then we are in a way, I would say, promoting more irresponsible marketing. Because in the end, us as strategists, right, when we are working on briefs, when we are briefing creatives or working with even brands to figure out what we should do as an outcome. Should it be an influencer campaign? Should it be a video? Should it be outdoor or whatever? If I had to always put one singular outcome, um, beyond, see, at no point is an ad going to immediately drive sales for you. We are not in that
exactly.
linear system
Yeah.
of business right now. It's omni-channel, and hence what I'm looking at as a strategist is, okay, what is the feeling you've left in the minds of the customer, whoever's viewing, right? So most people, in my understanding, and most people will be left with a bad taste in the mouth when you do a stunt, because they are then questioning that kitna niche giroge.
They're
Sure,
questioning the reality
y-
after a
sure,
point.
you got my attention, but
Yeah,
now
yeah,
I don't trust you. So the
yeah.
next time the same brand does an activity, I'm like, I don't think so, bro. It's that zone. So it's up to us marketers and a lot of these people, because it's also about the younger generation. We are also then questioning what is going to be the future of marketing in any format. If we are making an example of this, it is a good example for me of something to not absolutely do. So there are certain cases where we have to do things to get people's attention. And I wouldn't say I've never tried any of those stunts. We have. And a lot of experiential marketing that you'll see out in the market, right, are pretty much fake. I mean, most of these ads, or some on ground kind of installation is there. It says, "Hey, come press a button." Reality is no one cares. No one's even going to look at it. But there are people planted there to go press a button, something happening, and someone's shooting all of that. People are creating reaction video these days on phones. They are creating their on the ground, and it's all for a case study purpose, right? But in the end, you know what emotion I'm leaving the viewer with. You'll be like, okay, fine. I maybe know it's doctored, but I get the point. So, things we can discuss further if required.
No, very interesting. Actually, that is it brings me to something. I mean, I can probably predict your answer, but I think still you're a marketeer. So, what would you pick? Let's say boring but viral campaign or a brilliant but flopped one.
I would pick a boring but viral if I am a new brand. So, see, because again, this is again a question of what are the variables, right? Because
Yeah.
this is pretty much looks like black and white. That hey, this might
Oh
not be
yes.
as effective, but hey, it'll reach 100 people. So if I had to do that, then I would, and if I had to really choose, then I would choose obviously something that goes viral, even if it's not much effective, for the same reason that Naomi mentioned, right? I need to first reach the people. लोगों को मालूम तो पड़े. But
True.
if that is going to be something really controversial and against the values of what I stand for, or at least what my brand should stand for, then I will choose for something that's brilliant. But I'm okay if it reaches a smaller audience of sorts.
Fair enough. What about you, Naomi?
Uh, I like brilliant but flopped. Like I like to have ideas that are like great and just see them out. That's fine if it flopped, but it was out there, right? And boring to happens anyway. Yeah, like those normal campaigns that that those brand awareness that you're gonna get your awareness. Sales will happen. That so we can come back to any time. But with dhamaka, to is always the one that you say that it might flop, but let's try it. You never know, So I would go
So
for.
you would not go with Poonam Pandey's idea, or you would?
Um, I didn't like that idea, so I wouldn't call it as a like a brilliant idea. It worked for a lot of people. They got whatever they wanted, but I didn't like
Yeah.
that idea personally. Like if I had to judge it or be a part of it, I would be part of it because my agency wants it or the brand wants it. But it wouldn't be like I would do it, but I wouldn't be like, oh my god, I love this campaign. It wouldn't be that.
It should be surprising if you love the campaign, because pretty much people have gotten fired over that campaign. The
Yeah, yeah.
founders had to apologize. No,
They
so
even try to justify it later with
yeah, yeah, yeah.
again the numbers and all of those
Yeah,
things.
and see, the fun part really is that the company behind it was a pharma company, right? Which is the
Yes.
biggest shock, because yeah, it was for a pharma company
Yeah.
that has certain medicines and stuff for some vaccinations, which
So we will get there.
surprisingly we had worked on for a pitch back in the day, where again the brief was shockwartizing, and there were a lot of things that we had tried, but none of those ideas went this far. So
Your
it's really
ideas
a
weren't crazy enough, Rahul.
yeah, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going that far for crazy ideas, Imanchi, you know. I'm like, yeah, fine, go kill someone.
But I saw the comments under that campaign, and there were like cancer survivors who were like commenting saying that it's not cool, or like, like giving someone hope, and then going like, no, I'm alive, and it was so weird. I don't know. I found it. I didn't like that campaign at all.
No, because there were 100 other ways to do shockwartizing, what
Yeah,
as
man.
you call it, and it's a literal term. There are ways to shock people, to surprise them, to twist the narrative. If you'll remember that, I don't know if it was Mercedes or BMW, but this very old campaign of some guy doing a press conference and telling people that, hey, I'm going to, bury my car, and the car was some Mercedes or BMW. So it was a PR stunt, and PR stunts are known, and you do it in a structured way because at the end you get the point. The point he was trying to make that, hey, if I love my car so much, I am going to take it with me in the grave, something like that. But when you do something like the Pinum Pandey fiasco, then you're questioning everything from the brand to the intent to whether you think consumers are idiots, So it comes back to respecting your audience. Yeah. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Do you have
So
another opinion?
I will come to the next part of our conversation now, because on one side there is the conversation that we just had about the algorithm or the kind of campaigns and all of that. But I think it is also about the briefs, the way agencies are being briefed these days, or let's say even the creators, then they get further briefed. Um, I remember a time where briefs used to be like, long, detailed, uh, self explanatory, or it will have a lot of relevant information. But these days we have got briefs on WhatsApp with just two-line messages.
Yes.
Right. So, are these long detailed briefs are still relevant, or we are just all like bringing it out now? Uh, कि कुछ भी हो रहा है.
I would really like to hear some examples of these two-line briefs because it will give us a lot to talk about. Y'all tell me first.
So if you ask me, okay, like coming back to the original question, I love a long page or brief. Like,
Mhm.
that it just, I'm like, I get so happy looking at it. Like, there's a whole brief, they'll give you platforms, they'll give you how much the budget is, who you're talking to, everything. And I'm like, yeah, that's see, this is something I'm ready to do. I'll devote Saturday, Sunday, whatever you require. This is a
You
good.
almost then feel like taking the client on lunch simply for sharing a good brief,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Come on, Rahul. Rahul, we've spoken about this also when we were working together. Like, yeah, brief. Yeah, like, we were looking at the brief and we like, isse kehte hai brief. Like. But now
Right?
you get a single message saying कि अच्छा influencer ये करना है इतना budget है दे देना. But I was like, location बताओ, ये बताओ कि क्या करना है उनको, what do you require, मतलब वो सब तो.
ऑब्जेक्टिव तो बताओ, अचीव क्या करना चाहते हो.
हाँ, हाँ, objective influencer चाहिए. They'll say now. Listen, on Book Your Creator, because we started this, we get
Naomi, don't take any names.
Book Your Creator. Our agency. We get messages from XYZ people about XYZ brand saying कि male female 25 to 30 K का followers का मुझे ये दो influencers दो. What genre, what kind of influencers, like what is the campaign, what is the brand, I have no idea. We just want these influencers, those are the texts we get, and then I look at it for a while and I'm just really so.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely say that at least 60 to 80% briefs that we get, they are these less than one page at best. Those kind of briefs. It's crazy. Because I what Naomi said, I can totally resonate with that also, because then you know that you're working with somebody who knows what they want, or they have thought of all the aspects of it. They are aware. They are sorted in their head. Now, let's we can have creative discussions, we can have discussions on the execution plan, ideation, all those things. But then putting a brief together at least gives you that satisfaction or that relief that okay, you're working with somebody who's sane and sorted.
True. No, so what I feel, it's most people today are prioritizing efficiency over effectiveness. Everyone wants to get more done by less, which is get more done by a junior resource,
Hmm.
get more from lesser money paid to an influencer or a content
Yeah.
creator, get more output from a campaign with a smaller brief because hey, that's what we do. It's kind of really um, it, the more it becomes normal because people normalize it more. So these long briefs we were talking about, right? And this comes from my um, stint at network where Naomi and I used to work because we were working with mainline folks, right? We saw the structure, we saw the details that they went into, and how they would not proceed to ideation before they have all the details they need. And if they don't have certain details, they would reach out to industry experts, call them to office, or if it's a big pitch, right, they would pay someone from with their own money,
Yeah.
fly them down to their office and tell them that hey, explain how this industry or this category works.
Yes.
Unless we understand that, we can't really function. And
Right.
then they would get into first the internal strategy alignment, then the creative briefing. And but today it's one line, time nahi hai. It's really everyone wants to move faster. The second variable to this, the way I feel, is uh, when it comes to influencer marketing today, I feel is what digital marketing was to traditional folks about 6 to 8 years back. Where imagine this, right? You're in a mainline agency setup, you are the big shots. You kind of move the needle of what the brand speaks, what it says, what you show. Digital gets the last 5 slides in the presentation after your 100 slide deck,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Naomi's been there. So today, while digital has taken some precedence post, I think the COVID era, right? Now, influencer marketing and other such more tactical executions have become these last 2 slides, where it's not about the nuance before even the agency knows, say, the budget or where do we want to go with it. Because client even at a pitch stage says, "Give me one plan," and client knows, even the agency is like, "Are budget, details, objective, duration, something." No, give us a plan. You are the experts. You all plan.
नहीं
So
नहीं, they'll say ना आप हो ना creative agency, आप
No,
creative
but
बनो.
so is it, so it is also that the same thing is happening with creators also, that they are also not getting let's say proper briefings. What they are getting is that कि ये script है और ये deliverable है, ये करके दे दो. So the chain is like nobody is actually trying to sit down in between and okay, I will do it, I will put down the brief together, because then it will help anybody who comes next in the chain. uh, so everybody is just trying to avoid that and pass the buck to the next one.
there is no
uh,
chain if you really think about it. If because the chain is exactly what used to keep these things in place.
yeah,
And traditionally, and by traditional I really mean 20 years back, there used to be a written brief in a format, a questionnaire,
absolutely.
which you would not only fill, it would go through three different hierarchies to ensure that it is the best articulated. You would have
Yes.
to take signs of your
Yeah.
creative directors, creative heads, strategy heads, and everything, right? Today, you just, as you said, send it on WhatsApp. So, firstly, that chain is dead because today a 2.5 year old is a creative director at some place, at a startup. First, then when they don't know what to do, they are putting the question on the agency. You tell me how I should plan. And then the agency says that, hey, you don't have a brief. I don't have someone to make a brief. Pass it on to the influencer or content agency. You figure
Absolutely.
out, give me something because I need to get the needle
Yes.
moving.
Yes.
That's what it is.
I think so. Very, very b- big problem, or I would say, definitely saw this, or we all, when we were working on our platform, building it. We definitely saw this as one of the things that, yeah, proper briefing has to happen. And this is where I would plug in our platform, honestly, because we have been able to create an easy way, which is definitely not as easy as WhatsApp, but it's a five-step form that we have created. Like you mentioned, that traditionally there used to be a questionnaire. So
Right.
we're trying to bring that back, but little more easier and more simpler, where there's a five-step form. All the questions are already put down for you. You just keep filling the answers, submit, and there is a campaign brief ready. Everybody is on the same page, no ambiguity, no confusions. You've got all the answers that you needed.
Wonderful.
So we will, obviously, that's the, but it's not that easy to get people to even fill that one up.
Oh, not absolutely not. People don't
We
respond to
have our own
mails.
battle that we are fighting.
No, I think, see, this bit, right? I think, see, one of the only ways to put structure to things at this point, given the situation, is to stand your ground,
Yeah.
which most people today are not able to do. What we kind of celebrate as the democratization of content, right, has also been the downfall of quality. And it's a part of the process. I also agree to it, because for someone to really agree to fill up a form, there has to be an agency which says, hey, unless you fill this form, I am not going to process anything further. But hey, there's always someone out in the market to undercut you, do
No,
what the
there's
client
a
says.
99 plus who will be in that. Okay, we'll do it, we'll do it, we'll do it.
Exactly.
So how do
So
you stand your ground in that case?
exactly. No, so it's hence the again the mix of what Naomi was mentioning, right? You do some for the kitchen, some for the soul. So you choose your battles. Is there a brand coming in with a very basic ask and I can manage it? Sure. But then are there certain brands which we know are going to suck the life out of us? If we are in a good position to, hold our ground, we should, which then comes the variables of having a team to pay salaries for and what situation you are in. So I think those are again variables which I don't really comment on. It's really much on the founders and the team handling it. And if you really go on to see, and I'm sure you've experienced this, there are the very sorted ones. Very sorted founders have very sorted teams. And the very messed up, so-called fast-paced, dynamic environment founders have a very chaotic setup. Because when one person doesn't know what they need to do, no one else knows what they need to do. So,
So I would like to then take the credit. I think because my team is very sorted.
mhm.
Uh,
Naomi couldn't stop saying good things about you, yeah. So, 100%.
she's getting paid for that. That's a
Ah,
PR activity. We pay her for LinkedIn posts also.
No, no, they're out of my heart. Like they're actually good thoughts. I don't know, yeah, you could say.
No, they are all approved by me before they go online.
I would like to add something about Naomi though. The with her stint at Book Your Creator and this whole setup of yours, the huge jump in her confidence that I've seen is commendable. The how she was at network, I used to constantly tell her, Naomi, you know what you're doing, don't doubt yourself. And then even in her last company and whatever, but from the time she's been creating content for you guys, has been interacting with you, I've seen a huge bump in her confidence, how she presents herself, and I'm damn proud of her for that. And I think some of that, I would say, what do you call it? Yeah. Some of that praise also comes to you for being that good boss. So, congrats to you all for that.
Thank you.
No, like I said, we keep on paying her for LinkedIn posts. It works.
It's not reflecting in my salary. Can we just add
No,
that?
it's not part of your salary. The other payments, come on. Let's not talk about that right now. Anyway, no, I think so. This the entire the way the briefs have been being given. I think I remember when I used to work with an event agency back in 2017-18, and we made this an internal mandate that no matter uh, client is not filling in, it's okay, no problem. They are the clients, and it's our job to take over their stress. But then the brief will not move from the account manager's table unless that questionnaire is filled, and then the questionnaire was drafted in consultation with all the department heads from production, creative, operations, everybody. And once that form is filled, everybody receives that form. They would go through it, they would assign their team member, and then there will be the first round of meeting that happens with the account manager and other departments. And it is little pain. And I think even it's about, yeah, you might want to service the client because you are competing. It's such a competitive market that we are in, but internally you need to be sorted like that. Like even we do it. I remember we were working on an influencer campaign a couple of weeks ago where uh, the client wasn't, it was 100% sure that they are not going to do all that, but we still followed the same process internally, that okay, let's fill up this form, information is missing, let's call them up, ch- uh,
Yeah.
and get this filled, and then pass it on to the creators that this is what we need. And also even for the creators, what we try to do that, we try to not to give them the script. We tell them the deliverables because that's the money, but ultimately the objective, that what is it that we're trying to achieve out of this campaign. Now maybe you try and come up with ideas, you help us, that how will your audience, let's say, visit the website more versus saving it more or liking it or sharing it. Whatever you want to do, tell the creator. That's what we try to do.
No, so that's what we do at the agency side also, and I think that's been the standard practice that client maybe gives you part of the brief. See, because
Yeah.
we already have, say, people like me, my job will be to take a marketing brief which says that, hey, I want awareness, I want these many, let's say, some kind of traffic to the website, or I want these many impressions, which are numbers. It doesn't do anything to help the creative guys. My job is to
Right.
then further dissect their audience insights, which might be answers they've gotten from customer surveys. If there's none, that I need to do some, but I need to get some more qualitative details, right, before I structure the brief to tell the creative folks that, hey, this is the emotion that we need to evoke. This is
Yeah.
the outcome we need.
Exactly.
This is the current audience behavior that we need to kind of change. So these nuances were anyways being taken care of. So someone, obviously, someplace, if it's not someone on the client side, and it's not necessarily to blame, but even on the agency side, someone has to wear that mantle. So if not the client, then why not the agency? Absolutely. On the creator side, I think it's who ends up writing the scripts or the ideas. I think again is the variable of what kind of a creator they are. I mean, if you're talking fashion as a category, then you know it has to be get ready with me sort of videos because it's fashion. It's fashion.
Fair.
I mean, 4 years back, I was very much against, let's say, the same format for a category like that because I'd say, hey, you do this for four different brands. What's the point? But then the strategic nuance of the audience is that not all audiences are just wearing one brand, right? So what's wrong with an influencer or a
Yeah.
content creator doing that? At the end, it's going to be the clothing that sells, and hence you
True.
need to show it. So it's the most safest format. But let's say you get into an FMCG or a durables or maybe a service, then do I just want them to act like, oh, मैं बहुत परेशान थी, सर दुखता था, फिर मैंने ये वाला गद्दा लिया, now I'm able to work at pace? Because then what we call so-called UGC ads, right? Customers can call it out. They know today. And you go to most of these videos which are promoted, you see comments down there saying, nice try, Didi. So
But you know what? There's well, I totally subscribe to that thought. But a few days or a couple of weeks ago, there was a different side to it that was shown to me, which kind of made sense. It's like so even we say that influencer marketing is not ad films.
Hmm.
Uh, you miss out on the storytelling, you miss out on the creative writing and everything. But then the rebuttal that I got was that that these influencers who are always creating these ads, people are following them to know about the products.
Hmm.
So it kind of becomes a good strategy for some brands to associate with those influencers and put their product out there as a scripted TVC, how we would see on TV earlier. So that's another side to it. But I personally believe that, and even a lot of data suggests that, creator led ads, they have engagement, but like if you are letting the creator decide, if the scripting is on their in their hands, they get more engagement, they get more views, they get more reach as compared to those scripted और what you just said कि मैं बहुत परेशान थी अब मुझे ये मैट्रेस मिला तो अब मेरी नींद एकदम मस्त हो गई तो वो ऑडियंस कॉल इट आउट यार कम ऑन इट हैपेंस
Yeah. So I'll give you one instance because I had the same question. I was once at an event as a part of a panel, and the next panel that was discussing, in that we had Sheena's Treasury Wala, right? So
okay
she creates a lot of travel content,
yeah
right? So one of the questions I got to ask her was, when you create your own original content and then you create some branded content, do you see a difference in the engagement, any kind
hmm.
of metrics change?
Hmm.
So she mentioned that if, and this is if the post is not promoted separately, if she organically posted something which was her voice, not that she changed or tried to make it an ad. It was her kind, taking the audience to places, shooting on the phone. But there was a plugin of some product. She did mention that there was a dip in the engagement as well as the impression. And with whatever metrics you could see where the audiences are tapping out. So wherever people did see a product plugin, they would tap out. So it had comparatively lower, kind of
Right.
um, interactions of sorts. So, which brings me to the only, I would say, hypothesis I have is that firstly, we need to very clearly, you know, put influencers and content creators in separate buckets. And I'll give you a very simple example is
True.
influencers should be tagged based on how much they can move certain metrics, either
Hmm.
business or sentimental or
Hmm.
perception.
Hmm.
And I'll again take you to the example of music category. The music category is very heavily influencer driven. For years, so there's this guitar brand called Fender, right? For
Right.
years, someone like a John Mayer was using the Fender guitar,
Yeah.
and he was the poster boy for Fender, along with
Yeah.
other artists. So a lot of brands, also lot of growing kids growing up. I want to be John Mayer. He uses a Fender. I want a Fender.
Right.
That's what you aim with influencer marketing.
Yes.
Very recently, couple of years back, he changed deals. He changed deals with a company called PRS, and now that brand has recently come up and become a little more mainstream that it used to. But there are people out there who would just do a review video or a UGC content. I would not call them influencers. You are creating content of some sort, which is
Right.
giving me eyeballs. So I think
Yeah.
the moment we have that distinction, we are also able to plan more clearly.
Yeah.
So then the objective becomes clear, then the outcome becomes clear, and a lot of things. So I think that segregation is a good starting point.
So I think one thing that I would like to say when you mentioned about this Shehnaaz Treasury Wala's case study, the answer that she gave you, I think Gen Z, because most of the largest audience on social media is Gen Z, and everybody is trying to sell it to them mostly.
Yeah.
Uh, Whatever I have understood of this generation here, I don't think that they like to be told that buy this or buy that. They want to see that okay, how you are using this product, and how is it helping you, and if it makes sense to me, I'm gonna buy it. But don't tell me that, oh, buy this, or this has got these features. um, and that reminds me of an episode from that series Mad Men, where Don Draper back in the day also said the same thing about the next generation that was coming around that time. So it's like every generation, when they are on that, when they are the younger ones, they don't want to be told, especially by the elder ones, कि तुम ये करो या तुम वो करो. हम लोग फिगर आउट कर लेंगे. हम भी ऐसे ही करते थे यार. We also never used to like being told. So the question is that, do you think would Don Draper survive 2025, having uh, coming from that kind of background and living in this era? Crazy.
Particularly not, and I'll tell you, I've had first-hand experience with someone very close to that personality.
Oh wow.
In one of the places I used to work at, right? We had a very senior person, very good at his craft. In fact, I would go on to say that I have learned a lot of writing simply by observing how he used to. But the problem always was the willingness to adapt, to just accept that times have changed,
Yeah.
and craft alone is not going to work anymore. And then we've seen that. So over a long time, I have seen some great craftspersons who are great at writing, great at what they do, but also very uptight about their ways. And the original intention is always that, hey, just try this. It doesn't change much, right? Hey, try this. Let's experiment with this. But the moment it goes outside of the, purview of how it used to be, how things are supposed to be done, it kind of holds them back. So as much as creative as Don Draper was, he was also a very uptight fellow.
Oh yes.
So, there was this part I remember in one episode where they are together critiquing the mini ad, which was Think Small, right? And the whole team they are inside the office and they are all like, "What crap is this?" And even Don Draper is like, "Ah, that's not how you do advertising." So if you didn't buy that, he's not going to buy anything that's happening today. He'll probably go and buy a cigarette company and make money out there. But really, from the perspective that you spoke about, right, that youngsters don't like being told, I would really like Naomi's POV on that.
I was about to
Being the
come to that. By the way,
being the,
she has this constant thing. She doesn't want to be called Gen Z, but I
I'm
think
not Gen Z. That's
she's
why
not.
I don't.
She's not.
Yeah,
she
No,
we call her Zillennial.
that's a term.
they're
Yes.
really mean to me. Do you know that? They don't
No,
accept me as a millennial. When I am a millennial, I literally fit in that whole age range, but like, no.
you do, but you are closer to the
You're at
millennial
the cusp of it.
in the calendar sense. And we are asking your observation also, I think, because you'll bring the other gender perspective also, which Himanshu and
I'm.
I might just miss.
Y'all are not that old, okay? Y'all are like just a couple of years
No, no,
older.
he said gender. Yeah, come on,
Gender,
gender.
gender.
Mein there is a
Oh,
definite clarity.
oh, okay, okay.
There is no ambiguity over there.
I thought y'all are talking about like y'all are wise and what.
I'm not doing ageism on this call, Naomi. Don't worry.
Okay, so for me, I like brands that are a little less judgmental and a little bit more open-minded. Like, I don't like those masala brands. Those, that, like how they say, taste my best, mommy, whatever. Like, I think that's such a sexist ad. Like I would want it to be like I would want something to be a little bit more like not just like mummy kitchen mein or that was like something when I was growing older. I mean, yeah, when I was younger and I was growing up, I would listen to that ad and it's still the same. They're still making this pav bhaji and this, like now they just changed it a little bit while a Gujarati person was going to a Punjabi house and घर में paneer butter masala बन रहा था पर उसके में butter chicken खा रहा था, and then they came back to the house and they said कि butter chicken जैसा ही है paneer. So that was the only 2025, 2024 change in the ad, but it's still
No, do they still say that taste mein best
Yeah,
mummy or everything?
yeah. This butter
Because I
chicken.
remember they them signing up. I think Bachchan and SRK for their campaigns, and they were definitely not saying it.
What was this ad that was what year did this ad come out? This butter chicken and butter paneer wala thing.
I have no
It's
idea.
very recent. You guys both haven't seen it? I know
No,
Butter
something
chicken,
about
button
you.
masala, no.
Okay, great. I'm
not
gonna
this
send
one.
this ad to both of y'all. This ad is the only nuance thing that they added to their.
Well, the Google AI says the recent campaign that they did with Bachchan and SRK, that's called Tasty Khana Bulai Ghar Jaldi. So they're not talking about mother and
And paneer.
No, so what they are doing is again a strategic media play. If you go to certain places where you have more geographically, if you're, let's say, in
Hmm.
a place which is not very urban, there you will still play the Taste My Best
Mummy or
Mummy or
Everest.
Everest because on ground reality is there's still women happen to be primary homemakers, right? But in urban markets, you've seen those ads like the SRK versus Bachchan one, and certain iterations of those ads have been changed to Taste My Best Everest. They also had this. So
Oh,
yes,
Yes. I remember that one.
see,
yeah,
they heard my inner thoughts. That's why they made this change.
yeah, because they need to
So
change.
they're evolving. They're evolving.
Yep,
Finally.
No, I mean, we have seen the result when you don't evolve. We have seen Nokia, uh,
Yeah.
and Skype, and we have seen many other examples. But I think many brands, again, see, you are targeting a new generation. I think you do change the language, and like you very rightly pointed out, Rahul, that geography also plays a big role.
yeah,
So, and India is massive. India is huge. We still have 2025 and maybe 1980s also in some part of the country running parallelly,
absolutely
right?
true.
Interesting. So now I will move to another topic that is again connected, but also kind of adding to the fatigue, or let's say the not helping us in being more creative, I guess, is this AI content
Hmm.
where first of all strategy. It's so easy to make a strategy now using ChatGPT. Everybody is making one. So I think there was a time when there was this overuse of the word called creative, where everybody became creative, and now everybody is becoming strategist. Although that was the goal, but do you think it is not, it is getting into that saturation level, or is it already there?
I think personally, I feel for most people it's a delusion of expertise, to put it in a very straightforward way, right? Because earlier you were not able to figure out what I need to find, where I need to look, and where I need to get at by yourself. So a machine now comes and tells you that, hey, here's some research, here's some very interesting chart, and here's a statement which has some nice words in it, and you call it a strategy. And in most cases, if you take an AI generated strategy to a real strategist, they are going to either tear that page or throw that laptop away. So, and this has been a learning. It's how as a creative you have your own journey of growth, right? As a writer or as a designer, you start with a lot of detail, then you start to tone it down, being a little minimal. At some point, you again say, no, I need a little more nuance and detail. So it kind of keeps coming and going in waves, right? I think it's the same with strategy. Um the reason people are using the word strategy a little bit more today is the same thing what you said. Today, everyone can be creative because of the same democratization that either certain apps or certain tools like AI has given us. But and since we were talking about a capitalistic approach to the industry, right? The companies are constantly trying to replace humans. Let's be very honest and unapologetic about it as we speak as well, right? I use AI and I'm not sorry about it. I'm saving time on the number of iterations I had, but I'm not asking ChatGPT what I need to do. I tell ChatGPT that, hey, I have this in mind. What could I be missing? Is there other angles to this? What other hypothesis would you give me? I am the starting point, I am the ending point. It is an assistant. But LinkedIn, I fired my copy team because I replaced them with AI. I changed my coders, I removed my coders because AI was doing it for me. And I'm like, why though? And I was talking to one of my friends whom I work with very closely, Kshitij from the Germ, you know. So we were discussing this impact of AI, and he said that a very nice thing. He said, "Lamba nahi chalega," because if AI eventually ends up replacing all humans, there will be no commerce because there will be no jobs. People won't be able to afford things. Then it's either going to be Terminator Judgment Day or a huge economic crash for the whole world in a way. So it really depends on who's peddling what, right? AI is here to serve, but let's try and not make it a replacement. It has to work with us, not as a replacement of us.
How many tools you work with, Naomi, currently? How many AI tools you use on daily basis?
And
There is ChatGPT, there is Meta AI, there is Gemini,
three, four.
and I think now there is this Perplexity also. Airtel has added that free plan to everybody.
I
Oh
sometimes
yeah,
So
me also.
that's also there. Which one is your favorite? ChatGPT. Go to.
Yeah, because now it generates images also, na.
Yeah, see, now she has become a designer also.
No, because I did the so I got into this image thing during the Ghibli trend. So then I was like, see, even I can do it. I don't need to like go to my designer and tell them, please, yaar, ek aaj mere liye karke de de. Please karke de de. Like that, happens. And then I was like, let me only try, and it happened. So then I went all on, like full on. I went on it.
But I think, yeah, so this very, again, brings back Rahul's point where that he is the start point, he's the end point. Similarly, like you know what you want,
Yeah, yeah.
and then you are using an assistant to do that job. You are not asking the assistant to think on your behalf or maybe asking them to decide on your behalf. That's
No, because
how.
you go with like a set thing in your mind, now what you want, and then you construct your prompt also accordingly only. That I this is what I've worked on and all, and then even like I think so. Himanshu had taught me this once that when you've worked on an entire strategy or your idea, and you before you present it to somebody, like even to present it to him, you have all these doubts in your mind and everything. Put it on ChatGPT and see where you think your flaws are, or some sort of open-ended thing and all. Get it all fixed, and then you have everything. Like no, then you're confident enough to present it. You're not like in your head, "Ki, what is he thinking? Whether this is fine, it is not fine." So sometimes I do use that also, like not just like get my stuff done, but also to see what I could have missed out on. So
True, true. I
absolutely
mean, machines are there to help us, not
yeah,
the. And also, if humans won't have jobs, then how will they earn and how will they consume? Right? AI is not going to be a consumer. AI is just going to take money from you. They're not going
correct.
to consume your toothpaste and chocolates and sabun and whatever.
Yeah,
So I think Rahul, it brings us towards the end of our conversation.
yeah.
Where but just before we get into the closing, I just want to quickly put into this that you think now, because our platform is also there and we are trying to do something different in a way, when it comes to the kind of users that we invite, and we often get this question. There are many influencer marketing platforms that have tried to get rid of agencies. So do you think there is a way to get rid of agencies when it comes to these campaigns or executing these whether it's small scale or large scale, it doesn't matter, but do you think it is actually possible to eliminate the agencies out of the process?
For a client,
Yeah.
uh, I personally believe they shouldn't be, at least in the current all the variables we discussed, right? If a client at their point is not sure what they want to do with the creators, then someone between needs to handle not just the operation bit of it, but the whole branding, the effectiveness, and the strategic bit of it. So then you could be a production house, you could be an influencer, or artist management kind of an agency. You don't need them necessarily for operations, because that's what, even on the creative side, I think what a lot of people have tried doing with especially certain startups, right? You would hire creative folks directly in house. Hey, copywriter, come and do
Yes.
something here. But then what you get as an outcome is some random stuff. Today it is X, tomorrow it is Y. So the brand has no voice, there is no consistency, there is no intended impact or a long term vision. So the agency is not there for operation firstly. The agency needs to be there for strategic support. What we've been saying for years, a lot of times, in most cases, it falls on deaf ears. But most agencies really, really want to be a partner to their clients, um, in a way that clients respect them back, and that respect is earned back, right? Because if a client's not treating you well, um, you end up not giving them their 100%, even if you want to, right in your heart. I'm just talking from a emotional perspective. And in the end, I think our whole industry as a whole, be it whichever kind of entity, um, it has to be community first. Yeah, everything from we call it a people's business. The ideas are coming from people. The writing is coming from people. We want to connect to people. We are working for people, and we cannot be, um, you know, rude to each other. We cannot disrespect each other. So, as agencies, also we have to make space for each other, collaborate more than looking at everyone else as competition. And this whole downfall that we are seeing in agencies as a whole, of everyone trying to undercut competition over everything, that needs to really go away, because that's when we'll be able to stand together, I think, as a industry, and make a place for ourselves and do better work. Yeah.
And I think also, yes, many agencies want to be that strategic partner, but not everybody is capable of doing so, I think, at the
Absolutely.
same time. So they end up being the operational support at best. But when, if you're working with partners or agencies which have, let's say, sorted brains, it is always wiser to bring them on the strategic table. They come with ideas, they come with, I mean, what not, yeah. So it doesn't make any sense to leave them out. Uh, that's what my personal belief has been, and I think that this has been a point of discussion when we were launching our platform. That do you want to target brands or do you want to target agencies as your clients? And I was very clear that let's go with the agencies. Nobody really thinks about them. They all are trying to eliminate, but I don't think agencies can ever be eliminated. They they come with such experience, expertise, and they take the pain on behalf of the
Yeah.
clients. While there are a lot of agencies who become the pain, but then the
Most of them these days.
yeah, but then that's where the main objective is not to become the pain, but take away your stress and
Yeah.
get shit done. So as long as you are thriving to become that, I think you will have that seat at the table.
Right.
Um, so, Naomi, before we wrap, any final thoughts from the brand and the partnerships lens?
No, I agree with you when you were saying about this whole agencies. But like, I initially, when this idea was presented that we're talking to agencies, I was like, what? Why? Like, I was like, नहीं directly brand से बात करते हैं ना. Why do you want to just talk to agency? That was my first thought. Okay, because I didn't get it. Then he sat down and he explained that you don't want to cut down, like you don't want to cut out an agency out of the whole conversation, because we're you know pushing it towards some place, or we're getting this, we're doing that, we're not just like how you said, we're not just handling operations and all. So I get it, and that's why we keep saying made by marketers for marketers. And I think that's why Book Your Creator is gonna do really well, I think.
Absolutely. I think
Any
if
last thoughts, Rahul?
Yeah, I think both. I'll always bring the discussion back to people, right? It's about the people you work with for. So it's not just the marketeers. What I believe is when you're working with awesome creators, giving them the choice, which you rightly said, right, Imanshu, that you'll involve the creator in the process. I think that's really missing from the equation in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
So once the creator also feels seen and respected in this ecosystem, it's just going to work out well for everyone. So all the best to you guys for that as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It has been really fascinating hearing your thoughts and how you blurred the lines between strategy and creativity. And now, from the agency days to now building your own consulting firm, all the best for BlueFerry.
Thank you so
And
much.
it is. I think we would definitely look at some sort of collaborations together on that side as well.
Absolutely,
And
look forward to it.
thank you, Naomi, for joining us and sharing your insights.
Thank you.
And in the end, I'll just sum it up for our audience that if they're tuning in for the first time, then do check out Book Your Creator, and do check out the previous episode of our podcast. And don't forget to follow Rahul and BlueFerry Consulting on their social media. Don't and connect with Naomi for your inspired brand directions. This is it for today at Book Your Creator in our podcast where we were in conversation with Rahul and Naomi. So till the next time, stay authentic, stay strategic, and break a few rules. Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Thank,
both of you, for joining in.
thank you for having me. Pleasure.